You know, when we think about fixing a leaky pipe in a house, we usually think about very specific physical tools.
Right, like you grab a wrench.
Exactly. You grab a wrench, maybe some of that Teflon tape.
Oh, yeah, the white stuff.
Yeah, or you think about replacing a rusted valve. It is a very tangible problem.
And it has a very tangible, localized solution.
Right. You see the water dripping, you tighten the joint, and boom, the problem is solved.
It's comforting, honestly, because it operates on a scale that we can easily wrap our minds around.
It's just simple cause and effect.
Yeah, exactly.
But I want you to imagine a scenario where the water isn't just leaking in your kitchen. Imagine it is like disappearing from the entire city's reservoir.
Wow. Okay. That is a completely different scale.
Right. Suddenly the wrenches are completely useless. You need a total paradigm shift.
You can't just tape over a reservoir.
No, you can't. And today, for this deep dive, we are looking at what I can only describe as a $130 billion paradigm shift.
Which is just a staggering amount of money.
It's almost incomprehensible. We are asking, what happens when the software engineers who built artificial intelligence accidentally generate enough wealth to literally wipe extreme poverty off the map?
It's such a wild premise. It forces us to ask whether the people building the future of computing should also be the ones re-architecting how resources are distributed globally.
Yes, exactly. And our map for this entire conversation is a deeply provocative essay from June 12th, 2026.
Written by Paramendra Kumar Bhagat.
Right. It's titled OpenAI's Nonprofit Windfall, a bold case for ending extreme poverty.
And I think what's crucial here is that Bhagat isn't suggesting we use this wealth to just, put a dent in global suffering.
Or to raise awareness, which is what you usually hear.
Right, none of that vague awareness stuff. He is proposing a mechanical, highly verifiable blueprint to end extreme poverty entirely.
Which is a massive claim. And to even begin to understand how that works, we really need to understand the origin story here.
Oh, the origin story is fascinating.
Because this entire premise rests on this structural anomaly in the business world.
Yeah, the way OpenAI is built.
Exactly. Bhagat points out that OpenAI started with these incredibly noble, almost utopian intentions.
They really did. They were established as a standard 501c3 nonprofit.
Right. And their stated goal was to ensure that artificial general intelligence AGI benefits all of humanity.
Without being beholden to, quarterly earnings reports or angry shareholder demands.
Which sounds great on paper. It's a beautiful founding principle.
It is. But the reality of frontier technology is just ruthless.
Ruthless how? Like just the cost.
Exactly. To build AGI, you need compute. You need massive, unprecedented amounts of computational power.
We're talking about those giant data centers.
Yes, data centers that consume the energy of small cities. Plus, you need to hire the most expensive engineers on the planet.
So the budget just explodes.
Right. Scaling cutting-edge AI research requires capital on a scale that nonprofits simply cannot raise. You can't get that money through traditional philanthropic grants.
Or charity dinners. You can't pass a collection plate around to buy 10,000 NVIDIA GPUs.
Exactly. It's just mathematically impossible.
So they hit a wall, and out of pure necessity, they birthed a for-profit arm.
But this wasn't just a standard corporation.
No, and this is the weird part. They structured it as a public benefit corporation, a PBC.
Right, and they put that PBC under the umbrella of the original nonprofit.
We should probably unpack what that actually means for you listening, because it's the engine of Bhagat's entire argument.
Yeah, it's a very specific legal mechanism. So a standard C corporation is legally obligated to maximize shareholder value.
Profit above all else.
Exactly. If they don't maximize profit, the shareholders can literally sue the board of directors.
Which is wild, but that's how corporate law works.
Right. But a public benefit corporation changes that legal DNA. A PBC is legally allowed to balance profit with a specific public benefit.
Okay, so they have a little more breathing room.
They do. But OpenAI took it a step further. The for-profit PBC is ultimately governed by the board of the nonprofit.
Wait, the nonprofit is in charge of the for-profit?
Yes. And here is the absolute kicker. That nonprofit parent holds a 26% equity stake in the for-profit entity.
Oh, right. And if we fast forward to the 2026 valuations that Bhagat is citing?
Yeah, the numbers get crazy.
That 26% stake is worth roughly $130 billion.
$130 billion.
I really want you to think about that for a second. Think about your local neighborhood charity.
The one running bake sales to fix up the community park.
Yeah, exactly. The bake sale charity. Now imagine they wake up one morning and discover they own a quarter of Apple.
Or Saudi Aramco.
Right. It is completely absurd. It's almost comical.
It creates this sovereign scale endowment sitting inside a vehicle designed for charitable giving.
Sovereign scale, like nation-state money.
Exactly. Fagat highlights that this ownership position transforms the OpenAI Foundation into one of the world's largest nonprofits by asset size.
Bigger than the famous ones.
Oh, it dwarfs legacy giants like the Gates Foundation or the Ford Foundation.
But wait, I have to challenge this premise right out of the gate.
Okay, let's hear it.
A nonprofit designed specifically for AI safety and research is now sitting on more money than the GDP of many sovereign nations.
Right.
Doesn't this fundamentally alter their original mission? I mean, if your goal is to make sure AGI doesn't go rogue and destroy us, getting distracted by managing a $130 billion global anti-poverty fund seems like a massive case of mission drift.
That is the exact tension Fagat is exploring in the essay. He poses this brilliant question.
Which is?
If your founding charter is literally to ensure AGI benefits all of humanity, what is the most effective way to deploy sovereign-scale capital?
Does it just mean building a safer chatbot?
Right. Is it just better alignment research? Or does it mean leveraging the wealth created by that technology to address the most glaring, fundamental human suffering on the planet?
So he's saying poverty eradication is an AI safety issue.
Essentially, yes. Fagat argues that eradicating extreme poverty isn't a distraction from OpenAI's mission. He says it is the ultimate fulfillment of it.
Wow. Okay, but having $130 billion on a spreadsheet is one thing. Actually spending it without it just, vanishing into thin air is the real problem.
Oh, absolutely. The logistics of giving away money are incredibly hard.
Think about the last time you donated $20 to a charity at a grocery store checkout.
You just tap your card, it's gone.
Right. You have absolutely no idea where that money actually went. Did it buy a meal for someone?
Or did it pay the electric bill at the charity's corporate headquarters?
Exactly. Did it fund a shiny new marketing campaign? Now imagine scaling that opacity up to $130 billion.
That opacity is exactly what Fagat identifies as the critical failure of traditional philanthropy.
He has a term for it, right?
Yeah, he calls it the charity industrial complex.
The charity industrial complex? That sounds intense.
Well, the legacy charity model is plagued by it. You have massive administrative overhead.
Fundraising fees.
Exactly. Exorbitant salaries for executive directors, and this incredibly complex web of intermediaries.
So everybody takes a cut.
Right. By the time a dollar travels from a well-meaning donor in Silicon Valley to a village in sub-Saharan Africa, it might be worth 10 cents in actual tangible impact.
So you're losing 90% to the middleman.
Often, yes. It's wildly inefficient.
So Fagat introduces this concept in the essay, zero leakage.
Zero leakage. It's the holy grail.
He advocates for direct intervention. He is demanding a total bypass of the traditional philanthropic ecosystem.
Which means no grants to NGOs so they can write 10-year reports on agricultural yields.
No more awareness campaigns.
Right. Just find the verifiable, immediate human suffering and fix it directly.
And historically, we know exactly what leakage looks like in the physical world.
Oh, it's grim.
Yeah.
Think back to international aid in the 1980s and 90s.
Like the big concerts and telethons.
Yeah. Governments and charities would send millions of dollars in physical food aid.
And what actually happened on the ground?
Well, bags of grain would just sit rotting in port warehouses.
Because they couldn't distribute it.
Exactly. Or worse, local corrupt ward bosses would intercept the shipments.
And sell them on the black market.
Right, to consolidate their own political power. Physical aid is sticky.
Sticky. I like that word for it.
It requires logistics, transportation, and human hands. And every human hand takes a cut.
Which brings us to the laboratory.
The testing ground.
Right. Because if you are going to bypass the entire global charity system and attempt a zero leakage intervention on a massive scale, where do you even start?
You need a very specific kind of environment.
And Fagat targets India.
He does. He chooses India because it represents a fascinating, almost painful paradox of modern economics.
Let's talk about that paradox, because on one hand, India has experienced staggering economic progress over the past decade.
Staggering. They have a booming tech sector.
Massive infrastructure development.
Yeah, and they have organically lifted hundreds of millions of people out of poverty.
But then there's the flip side. It really is a tale of two economies living side by side.
It truly is.
Because despite the space program and all the tech unicorns, India still contains a massive population living below the extreme poverty line.
And that line is brutal. We're talking about roughly $2.15 to $3 a day.
Which is just survival mode, barely survival mode.
Right. The national percentage of people in that bracket might be in the low single digits now.
But India has over 1 billion people.
Exactly. Because of India's sheer population size, a low single-digit percentage still means tens of millions of human beings.
Tens of millions facing chronic hunger,
Malnutrition, and absolute destitution. And they are largely concentrated in rural pockets.
This is where a skeptical listener might pause. I mean, I certainly did when I read this.
Yeah, it raises a big question.
If India is already an economic powerhouse that is actively reducing poverty on its own, why inject a Silicon Valley AI nonprofit into the mix?
Right, like why interfere?
Why can't India's internal economic growth just handle the rest? It feels a little like Silicon Valley hubris, right?
Like the classic savior complex.
Yeah. The tech billionaires swooping in to save a sovereign nation that is already perfectly capable of managing its own economy.
It absolutely would be hubris if Bhagat were suggesting they replace the Indian government's efforts.
But he's not suggesting that.
No, he's not. He's suggesting they leverage those existing efforts.
Okay, how so?
Bhagat identifies India as the perfect testing ground, precisely because the Indian government has spent the last decade building the most sophisticated digital public infrastructure on the planet.
So the engine is already fully built.
The engine is humming, the internal economic growth created the tools, but reaching the extreme poor, the absolute bottom tier of society, is always the hardest part.
It's the most expensive part of any economic transition.
Exactly. It's the final mile problem.
So Bhagat sees the $130 billion OpenAI endowment not as a replacement for the government.
No. He sees it as the ultimate high-octane fuel to pour into India's existing digital engine.
Okay, this is where the mechanics get incredibly cool. Because if you want zero leakage, as we discussed, you need a perfect pipe.
You need a pipe with no cracks.
And Bhagat introduces us to India's secret weapon. He calls it the Jam Trinity. JAM.
This is how you actually move money to the poorest people on Earth without a corrupt official skimming off the top.
Let's break down the physical reality of this Jam Trinity. Because it's fascinating. The J stands for Yandan.
Right. And Yandan was a massive, aggressive government push for financial inclusion.
Because historically, traditional banks didn't want the extreme poor as customers.
Why would they? The extreme poor had no money, no credit history.
And maintaining their accounts cost the bank more than the bank could ever make.
Exactly. So the Yandan scheme basically forced the creation of hundreds of millions of zero-balance bank accounts.
So suddenly, the unbanked had a node in the formal financial system.
Right. They existed on the grid financially.
But wait, a bank account isn't helpful if you live in a rural village 50 miles from the nearest bank branch. How does a farmer actually get the physical cash?
That was a huge hurdle. And it was solved by deploying what they call banking correspondents.
What's a banking correspondent?
Essentially, they are local shopkeepers equipped with micro ATMs.
Oh, okay, so the corner store becomes the bank teller.
Exactly. But to make that work without rampant fraud, you need the A in the Jam Trinity.
Right, Aadhaar. And Aadhaar is just wild.
It really is. It is the largest biometric identification system in human history.
We're talking about iris scans and fingerprints for over 1 billion people.
Think about the logistics of that.
Just collecting that data is mind-boggling.
Right. But it was necessary because before Aadhaar, welfare in India was plagued by what they call ghost beneficiaries.
Who's beneficiaries?
Yeah, local officials would create fake names on the welfare rolls.
Oh, I see where this is going.
Then they would collect the physical cash or the food rations for those fake people and just pocket the difference.
Pure corruption.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Aadhaar eliminates the ghost.
Because a ghost doesn't have a fingerprint.
Exactly. When that farmer goes to the local shopkeeper to withdraw their Yandan funds, they don't show a paper ID.
Because paper can be forged.
Right. Instead, they place their thumb on a biometric scanner.
It creates this perfect biometric handshake.
Yes.
The fingerprint scanner in that dusty, remote little shop sends a digital ping to the central Aadhaar servers.
And the server says, yes, this is exactly who they claim to be.
And it authorizes the transaction. That is brilliant.
It is. And the final piece, the M, is mobile. Specifically, it's tied to the UPI.
The Unified Payments Interface.
Right. This is an interoperable, instant, mobile-first payment network.
So it means the money moves at the speed of light.
Exactly. Directly from the central treasury. or, in Bhagat's proposal, directly from the OpenAI endowment.
Straight into the digital wallet of the verified recipient.
Done.
Let's ground this for a second, because the contrast with old charity is stark. You bypass the charity headquarters in London or New York. You bypass the regional NGO director in New Delhi.
Yes.
You bypass the local district magistrate. You bypass the village headman.
You skip all of them.
The OpenAI endowment simply executes a digital transfer, and a mother in a remote village instantly receives a notification on her mobile phone
It buzzes in her pocket.
saying that $100 has been deposited into her zero balance account, which she can access immediately using her fingerprint.
That is what zero leakage looks like in practice.
It's just a direct pipe from the tech billionaires to the people who need it most.
And Bhagat points out that India already uses this infrastructure. It's not theoretical. They use it for their direct benefit transfers, moving trillions of rupees for government subsidies.
So the pipes are laid, they're pressure tested, and they are fully functional.
OpenAI wouldn't even have to figure out who is poor. The Indian government already has multidimensional poverty indices.
And Aadhaar-linked welfare rolls.
Right. OpenAI just needs to turn on the faucet.
But turning on that faucet triggers a massive philosophical collision.
Oh, huge.
And honestly, this might be the most radical part of Bhagat's entire manifesto. He is advocating for unconditional empowerment.
Yes, unconditional. That word is key.
He argues that we should just give them the cash directly with absolutely zero strings attached.
It's a profound rejection of the paternalism that has defined charity for centuries.
Paternalism is exactly the right word.
The legacy model of philanthropy
Yeah.
inherently distrusts the poor.
It really does. It assumes that if you are impoverished, you must lack the cognitive or moral capacity to make good choices.
Like it's a character flaw.
Right, so charities give you food vouchers that restrict what you can buy.
Or they give you specialized farming equipment that you maybe don't even need.
Or they mandate that you have to attend certain financial literacy classes just to get your aid.
It's very condescending.
Right, but let me play the skeptic here for a minute.
Go for it.
Because the immediate criticism of unconditional cash transfers is always that the money will be misspent.
People always say that.
Right. People argue it will go to alcohol or gambling.
Yeah.
Or that it just provides a temporary sugar high without actually solving systemic issues.
I think it creates dependency.
Exactly. So if OpenAI is dropping billions of dollars unconditionally, aren't they just subsidizing bad habits on a massive scale?
It is the most common pushback, without a doubt.
Yeah.
But the data completely obliterates that argument.
Really? Completely obliterates it.
Yes. Bhagat relies on a growing mountain of behavioral economics and results from massive pilot programs all over the world.
And what do the pilots show?
When you give the extreme poor unconditional cash, they don't buy alcohol. They buy caloric density.
They buy actual food to survive.
Exactly. They buy corrugated tin to fix a leaking roof so their children stop getting sick during the monsoon season.
Wow.
They pay off predatory microloans that charge astronomical interest rates.
So it gives them breathing room.
Much more than breathing room, it shifts the entire power dynamic.
How so?
Well, the data shows that when cash is deposited directly into accounts controlled by women,
Which the Jam Trinity specifically allows for.
exactly, when women control the funds, it drastically improves child nutrition and school attendance.
That makes total sense.
It enhances women's agency within the household. The poor actually know exactly what they need to escape poverty.
They just lack the means.
What they lack is liquidity.
So Bhagat is basically saying, drop the paternalism, trust the data.
Treat them like rational economic actors.
Right. And with $130 billion, OpenAI could move way past these small-scale pilot studies that economists love to run.
They could graduate from the lab.
Exactly. They could just supercharge the system and execute a decisive, overwhelming blitz to clear the board of extreme poverty in targeted regions.
Just wipe it out. But here's the reality check. You still have a fiduciary duty.
Right. It's still a corporate endowment.
A $130 billion endowment managed by a tech board isn't going to just blindly wire funds without some form of strict accountability.
No, Sam Altman isn't just going to hit send without a receipt.
Exactly. But God knows he has to sell this concept to Silicon Valley. Which brings us to his mechanics of radical transparency.
This is where the essay gets very tech bro, but honestly, in the best way possible.
It's a very Silicon Valley solution.
Because if you are deploying this much capital, you can't wait for an annual PDF report from an NGO.
No, a PDF isn't going to cut it.
Fagat suggests implementing blockchain technology to create immutable public ledgers of every single transaction.
Now, when we hear blockchain, we usually think of crypto speculation.
Or buying digital apes.
Right, but here it serves its true structural purpose. It's a trustless ledger.
Meaning you don't have to trust the people running it.
Exactly. If OpenAI wires funds, the blockchain records the exact time, the exact amount, and the exact destination.
So it's permanent.
It cannot be retroactively altered by a corrupt local official trying to cover their tracks.
And you combine that immutable ledger with public dashboards.
Live dashboards.
I love this imagery so much. They are treating global poverty eradication the exact same way a startup treats user acquisition.
It's the same mindset.
You measure relentlessly. Imagine having a live dashboard on an 80-inch monitor in the OpenAI cafeteria showing real-time anti-poverty metrics.
You don't guess if poverty is going down. You watch the dials move on a random Tuesday morning while you eat your avocado toast.
It gamifies saving the world. And Pagat also suggests layering in satellite data to verify physical impact, right?
Yes. This is so futuristic, you can literally track economic velocity from space.
From space, how does that work?
Well, you look at satellite imagery before the cash transfers begin. Maybe a village has a high density of thatched roofs.
Okay, so a marker of poverty.
Right. Then 2 years after the unconditional cash transfers start, you check the satellite imagery again.
What do you see?
You see an explosion of shiny metal roofs. You see new road construction.
Yep.
You see increased nocturnal light emissions.
Nocturnal light emissions, you mean just more lights on at night?
Exactly. Because they have electricity now.
Yeah.
They have economic activity after dark.
And that proves the ripple effect. By injecting cash directly at the bottom, you aren't just helping the individual person.
No, you're transforming the whole area.
You are igniting local economic velocity. The farmer gets cash, so they buy more food from the local grocer.
Right.
The grocer has more income, so they hire a local tailor to make new clothes for their kids.
The wealth stays in the community.
It stays local instead of being extracted by intermediaries.
This quantifiable, engineering-first approach to social impact is exactly why Hagat believes this is the ultimate precedent for the AI era.
It's a blueprint.
It's a direct counterargument to the critics who demand that AI companies just stay in their lane.
Yeah, let's talk about that pushback, because a huge segment of the tech world believes OpenAI should focus 100% of their energy strictly on the alignment problem.
The existential risk crowd.
Right. The argument is, if we build a superintelligence that decides humanity is a virus, ending poverty won't matter because we'll all be dead.
So they ask, why get distracted by social work?
Fagat has a fascinating counter to that, doesn't he?
He does. Fagat's counter is that ending extreme poverty is not social work or charity. He frames it as a high-leverage investment in global stability.
It's a security measure.
Think about it. How do you prove to an artificial general intelligence that human life has inherent value if the humans who built the AGI tolerate mass starvation while sitting on billions of dollars?
Oh, wow. So you have to model the behavior you want the AI to learn.
Exactly. Eradicating poverty is the ultimate proof of alignment. It demonstrates to the machine that the abundance generated by frontier technology is meant to serve humanity's most pressing needs.
It also gives a desperately needed blueprint to tech billionaires right now.
God knows they need one.
We've seen so many massive fortunes wasted on these ego-driven vanity projects.
Oh, so many.
Someone tries to, reinvent the education system in a single city, ignores all the actual teachers, and just burns $1 billion for nothing.
Because they think they know better.
Right. But Fagat is offering a replicable algorithm for philanthropy. It's step by step.
Let's hear the algorithm.
Step 1. Identify a solvable metric. In this case, extreme poverty.
Okay.
Step 2. Leverage existing digital infrastructure. The JAM Trinity in India.
Yep.
Step 3. Deploy capital with radical efficiency. Unconditional cash via biometric validation.
Zero leakage.
And step 4. Measure the outcome relentlessly. Use the blockchain and satellite dashboards.
It strips the ego entirely out of the equation.
Completely.
Turns philanthropy into a pure math problem.
Which Silicon Valley loves.
But to really grasp why Hagat is proposing this specific solution, we have to look deeper into the author himself.
We really do.
We have to look at the meta-context of this essay. Because it is not just some isolated thought experiment.
No, this is where things take a fascinating, almost science fiction turn.
I was waiting for this part.
If you read the essay, the very first sentence of Bhagat's blog post reads, "The impending age of abundance was prophesied in the scriptures thousands of years ago."
That one line completely shatters the sterile economic tone of a normal policy paper.
It really does. You read that and think, wait, what am I reading?
It tells us we are dealing with a unified, deeply philosophical worldview here.
A theology, almost.
Right. And if you explore the sidebar of Bhagat's blog, you find this incredibly extensive archive dating back to 2005.
2005, he's been writing for decades.
Over 20 years of public writing. Over 7.5 million page views.
And he has a bibliography of book titles that sound like they belong on the shelf next to a William Gibson cyberpunk novel.
The titles are wild.
Let's read some of them. He's written books like The Speed Builders, How Humanity Can Deliver Mega Projects in Months, Not Decades.
Very techno-optimist.
Then there's Physical AWS, How the Logistics Cloud Will Reshape Global Commerce.
Applying software concepts to the real world.
Exactly. But the ones that really stand out to me are the more esoteric ones.
Yeah, the spiritual ones.
Like 1,000 Solaras in 10 years.
Okay.
Lumina AI. The $1 trillion sun. And finally, Kalkiism. The economic and spiritual blueprint for an age of abundance.
We have to decode these titles to really understand the OpenAI proposal.
Let's start with Kalkiism. What does that even mean?
So in Hindu theology, Kalki is the final avatar of the god Vishnu.
Okay.
Kalki is prophesied to appear at the end of the current Dark Age, which is called the Kali Yuga.
And what does Kalki do?
Kalki appears to destroy filth and corruption and to usher in a new era of truth and abundance.
So Bhagat is taking this ancient theological concept and applying it directly to modern economics and AI.
Yes.
He sees AGI not just as a cool software tool, but as a literal secular manifestation of this prophecy.
The technology itself is the mechanism that ends the dark age of resource scarcity.
That is heavy.
Yeah.
But it ties directly into his concept of the $1 trillion sun, right? Or Lumina AI.
Precisely. Think about what a sun actually does. A sun doesn't discriminate.
It just shines.
It radiates energy universally. It provides the baseline foundation for all life and growth on a planet.
So Bhagat views artificial general intelligence as a digital sun.
Yes. Once you ignite it, it generates infinite intellectual and economic energy.
It warms the entire global economy.
Exactly. And the wealth generated by that digital sun isn't supposed to be hoarded in some corporate vault in San Francisco.
It is supposed to radiate outward to everyone.
Which perfectly explains the $130 billion OpenAI windfall.
The windfall is just the first rays of the $1 trillion sun hitting the Earth.
That's his view, yes.
But what about the Solaras? He wrote a book called 1,000 Solaras in 10 Years. What is a Solara?
Based on his overarching philosophy across the blog, a Solara seems to represent a node of localized abundance.
A node, like a city.
Think of them as hyper-advanced, self-sustaining microeconomies.
Powered by what?
Powered by AI, clean energy, and digital logistics. If the $1 trillion sun provides the overarching global energy, the Solaras are the physical manifestations on the ground.
So there are specific communities where extreme poverty has been eradicated.
And where human potential is completely unleashed.
So when you synthesize all of this, the OpenAI blog post isn't just a clever hack for tax-free charity.
Not at all.
It is a vital step in Bhagat's grand, multi-decade Solara vision.
He has been mapping out this collision point between hyper-advanced technology and human salvation for 20 years.
To him, the combination of AI-generated wealth, biometric identity, and blockchain transparency isn't just good policy.
It is the literal infrastructure of the prophesied age of abundance.
It reveals this incredibly deep belief that traditional human institutions have failed.
Oh, governments, legacy charities, politicians, endlessly debating policy, they have all fundamentally failed to solve the problem of scarcity.
Because they are too slow.
Too slow, too corrupt, and too constrained by physical limitations.
Bhagat really believes that technological convergence is the only force powerful enough to leapfrog those human flaws.
It's the only way to deliver on the promise of universal prosperity.
Man, we have covered a massive amount of ground today.
We really have.
I mean, we started with this strange, hybridized corporate structure of a nonprofit holding a quarter of a massively valued AI company.
We looked at the sheer, terrifying scale of a $130 billion windfall.
Right. And then we mapped the deployment of that capital through India's JAM Trinity.
Jan-Dan accounts, Aadhaar biometrics, and mobile UPI.
explaining how to bypass the charity industrial complex entirely to achieve zero leakage.
We tackled the controversial philosophy of unconditional cash transfers.
Proving that trusting the poor with liquidity is actually far more effective than maternalistic or paternalistic aid.
We visualized the live dashboards and satellite tracking, proving the economic velocity.
And we finally placed this entire mechanism within Bhagat's sweeping futurist theology of Kalkiism and the trillion-dollar sun.
Quite a journey.
It is a profound shift in how we view the utility of frontier technology.
It really is.
And I think it leaves us with one final, incredibly provocative question to chew on as we wrap up.
What's the question?
Well, if Bhagat's vision is correct, if an AI nonprofit leveraging digital public goods is vastly more capable of solving the deepest human suffering than traditional nation-states and legacy institutions combined,
Right.
what is the future of human governance?
That is the big one.
Have we crossed a threshold where the ultimate public goods of stability, prosperity, and baseline survival will no longer be provided by politicians debating in a Capitol building?
But instead by the relentless, verifiable, and incorruptible efficiency of algorithms.
Exactly. If the software engineers really have accidentally invented a machine that creates infinite water, maybe it's time we stop handing them wrenches and start asking them how to design a better reservoir.
I couldn't have said it better.
Thank you so much for joining us on this deep dive. Keep asking the big questions, and we will see you next time.